Started this morning. I believe Blaine says our online presence is ready to go. So welcome everyone to our YJOC committee meeting. I don't know how many of you had difficulty parking or getting here this morning. For those of you who are not aware, Gen Con is in town. Last year, Gen Con 2023 had attendance of about 70,000 people, and it was not sold out. This year they're sold out. So I looked up a little bit of information for those of you who don't know anything about Gen Con. In my humble opinion, it is the very best people watching of the entire year downtown. It is North America's largest and longest running annual event devoted to tabletop gaming culture. It began in 1968 in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and it's been held here in Indianapolis for 21 years. This year is especially exciting because it is the 50th anniversary of, anyone know? D&D, yes, Dungeons and Dragons. So, attached to the D&D celebration, there will be the release of the hotly anticipated 2024 Player's Handbook, and the U.S. Postal Service will be revealing and selling D&D stamps on site here. So this is very exciting stuff. Is it? I think so. So I think for our intro question this time, it will be, what was your favorite game growing up, or what's your favorite game now? Or do you have an avatar, anything related to gaming? So why don't we start with Leslie today?
You know, we did more stuff outside when I was a kid, so I would say probably Ghost in the Graveyard.
All right.
I've had too many because I tend to get banned from them. I find ways around the structure of the rules of the game to win, and then I'm not allowed to play. So lots of them.
So Mark is a cheater. That's what I'm hearing.
I was able to explain how I was doing it.
Okay.
Matt Alsma, Indiana University. In middle school in the 80s, when I came up, the Oregon Trail came out in computer. I thought that was pretty amazing. Yeah, I died of typhoid often.
Dysentery for me.
I'm not a gamer, believe it or not, but the one fun board game when raising kids was apples to apples. That could always get a good family discussion going. So we put a lot of apples to apples with the kids.
Good morning, everyone. Nancy Beaver, Director of Youth Justice and JDI at Indiana Office of Court Services. I'm gonna say Rummy. It's a card game. Yeah, I played with my grandma and my great aunts and not Jim. We couldn't say Jim's. Grandparents are both pastors and
Sarah Sailors, Department of Child Services. I am not a gamer either. I have a kid that is, and I'm very bad at trying to play with him. So I don't even know. I feel like I'm very competitive, and anything to do with sports was kind of my thing. Like, fun fact, I was a college athlete, so right, all sports are my thing. But I don't know, so I don't know, we played a lot of tag too, we played, you know, lived out in the country, you ride your bike, you do those kind of things.
All right, Steve.
Stephen Balco, Department of Education. I think the game that we still play and I like to play with kids was Yahtzee. Feel like you can go everywhere, travels everywhere. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you, Amy Richardson. We did not have any game devices in my home. However, I was able to go to a friend's house and play Atari, and Pac-Man was certainly like the game that we got into because I was terrible at Frogger.
Good morning. I'm Darren Dolahanty, senior judge. Hi-ho Cheerio, I think was my, as a kid. That was the big one. I thought if anybody takes Hi-ho Cheerio, and I'm surprised it wasn't taken by Dr. Alsman by the time I was going to go with Chutes and Ladder, which was also really good.
Carolyn Foley, Allen Superior Court. I'm old enough that I started off with Pong And actually thought that was the coolest thing ever. But as a kid, probably Candyland for me.
Well, Joel Winnicky, Public Defender Counsel, to get back on topic. I played Dungeons and Dragons once when I was, I remember the dungeon master was my friend Mike Ellick. And I was an elf and I found some battle axe that had like extra 12-point damage or something. And that was a fun night, but it never happened again.
Terry Decker, Department of Correction. I'm way too old to have played any type of games like that. I was with Leslie riding bikes, playing tag, doing things like that. But watching my grandchildren play with Oculus has been one of the craziest things I've ever experienced.
Okay, Corolla Blackman, Division of Mental Health and Addiction. I was good until you said when you're a kid. So that would be anything from kickball, dodgeball, volleyball, tag, anything outside riding my bike.
Mhm. All right, and I am Dana Kenworthy, and my favorite game is and was Monopoly. And I'm always the iron piece because it doesn't turn over ever. All right, now that we know a little more about one another, we can get started. And we're going to start first with approval of the minutes, if you've had a chance to review those. Any edits needed? Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And the minutes are approved. Thank you. We'll jump right into Mark's commission update, and he has, I think, 3 exciting topics today.
All right, and in full disclosure, my Gen Con badge is in my car right now, so. I've got teenagers hanging out in my basement for the whole duration because hotel rooms are like $600 a night. Yeah, so, yeah, I'd rather be having them in a space where showers will be taken regularly than them hanging out in the hallways of the convention center. Yeah, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Yes. They're over 18, so it's fine, it's fine. So we'll see what I get banned from this year. So yeah, a few different things going on with the commission. I did want to note first and foremost, one of our big roles that we've offered for the YGOC support is legislative support. So I've been talking with a lot of the different work groups about things that they're working on that might require that might be something that fits into a bill or tweaks that we're looking at either from their work group or for the full YGOC. So there's a few items that have already gone through kind of the commission list that we're going to be at least know there are going to be topics that we'll be watching during the legislative session. Couple of things, looking at family resource centers and increasing support and funding for those. That's come up in some of our diversion discussions about how do we have proper resources in the community that can be referred to. So we don't just have judges in the bad place being like, look, I don't want to take a truancy case and have that go deeper into the system, but I need to be able to refer them to something. So some of those prevention programs and models that are going on there, they're actually going to be presented at the next commission meeting so we can wrap our heads around that a little bit deeper going in. We're going to be doing a lot of work on family and youth engagement. I'll be talking about the new program that we have off the ground here in a second, but it is a growing space and a space where I really want to make sure that we're taking a leadership role in. I'm going to be looking at behalf of the commission, looking at asking for additional funding under the commission to create a position that's dedicated specifically to that space, encouraging and supporting individuals with lived experience that are wanting to come back and use their voice. We've already gotten to the point where at the commission, we've brought on a bunch. And before our staff Blaine has a minor stroke before the age of 30, we need some more support to do it well. So that'll be part of the request that we're looking at there. And of course, that will flow right into here. We're hoping we can get some youth with lived experience being a part of this process through doing that. A few things under the diversion group that have gotten interesting that we're going to look at if there's pathways we can smooth is Department of Workforce Development has a lot of programs that really work specifically with justice involved youth. But looking at that diversion range, there's maybe a need for additional clarity of how we can, without them getting deep into the justice system, or maybe just with a contact that doesn't turn into a case with the justice system, is getting them involved with workforce development, another avenue that we can add to our list, and get that done more effectively. Right now, there's a lot of relationships at the exit end, but not as much on the diversion end. And I don't think that's because that's not available. It's just an unknown. So there's some great work we can do in that space. We're going to look at how we can support that better, and if there's some expansion opportunities or funding that's needed around that, since it is a budget year. Of course, as I've mentioned a couple times, looking at truancy and chronic absenteeism, and also looking at if we can get across the finish line, attorney representation for cases of human trafficking for our youth. So that'll be one that we've worked on for a few different years, got kind of lost in the mix last time. We're hoping to get that across the finish line this year going forward to that. But beyond that, before I get into my more fun topic, I did want to pause and ask if there are other items that we want to start having brought before the commission from YJOC, so we can look at endorsement for that. In our August meeting, we'll be talking about potential topics that we want to dive into deeper during the legislative session. And then at our October meeting, if language is created through the YJOC that we want to have up front of them to say, okay, now this is the language, this is what we're going to speak on, and we're going to try to find a home for in a bill. So that'll be kind of the timeline. So any topics you have now that you think we're going to have to be diving into that I haven't already listed, I can open up for discussion on that.
One item is the data funding issue. So two of the statutes, diversion and community alternatives, includes language about data collection. So that's the language that we are working under for the MOU between ICJI and IOCS. All my acronyms straight, but the same language does not exist in the behavioral health statute portion. So we think that was simply an oversight in the drafting. So we would suggest that we work on language between now and the time when the legislators need that, so that that language is ready to go. And I will just jump in and update all of you on our meeting with those legislators. I sort of floated the idea in that meeting of for this particular MOU with CJI using a quarter from diversion, a quarter from community alternatives, and half from behavioral health based on the allocation sizes. And that was consistent with our discussion at the last meeting, and our representative and Senator Kreider both said, you know, that sounds entirely reasonable. And the message that we got from them was data was our number one ask. And we can't really figure out what we're doing well without that data piece. So whatever it takes to get that data collected, we need to do that. So I expect that they will be entirely in support of any legislative tweak that we need to fix any language for that ongoing data collection piece. So.
I'm so glad that diversion is at the forefront, as I'm sure our colleagues at the table are as well. I do think part of the issue with diversion and service access is billing. So in terms of if you have a youth on probation, there are lots of resources for billing DCS and the like, but until they hit probation, that billing is an issue, which means resources are hard to get. So if there are some legislative solutions on that end, I think that would be great for youth not to go into probation to get those services, if possible. Yeah, prevention.
Yeah, and I think there has been some discussion on how do we get, you know, whether it's another variation on a case number or a cause number that says, okay, we're registering them here, but it's just for funding purposes. So I know that discussion is ongoing. I think there's a lot of thought behind that because we've been working within the system we have, saying like we need to get them so far within the system before we can start doing the billing and access services. Is there something else? So not a light lift, but it definitely, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Nancy?
Mark, this is probably more for clarification. In the work that you are continuing to do around supporting those with lived experience, is the idea still that multiple groups would be able to I don't know if access those young people or those with lived experience. I'm thinking about it, you and I talked several months ago in JDAI, we were in the process of bringing on like a family advisory group kind of thing. And then we talked about, hey, let's maybe not do that because there might be a way for those with lived experience in the youth legal system to be part of a larger group that could also then inform the work of JDAI. Is that still in the?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
that's something, so, and we've really had to reframe it, because frankly, the more we've looked out there and looked at what other initiatives are out there, what other youth with lived experience voices kind of entities are out there, it's a massive community. It's just not a community that has that central organization point. So we really had to take pause, and again, that's why I'm looking at, because we want to do it right. We want to do it right by them. Saying we need to get to the point where we grow, where we have specific staffing that can own that can manage that. So we're looking at kind of, not to give it a title yet, but kind of an Indiana lived experience network that we support and work within, but it's not something where we're owning it, because there's a lot of people coming in from a lot of different areas, and lived experience is one of the broadest terms you can possibly imagine, right? But is there a place where we can convene together and have a voice to that? So if something comes in that's, hey, we've got something going on related to runaway youth, and we'd like to get that vetted, can we plug that in there and say, hey, if you have youth that have some experience in this range, we'd like to have them look at this and come back with their suggestions.
I think that's a great idea, instead of each area developing their own advisory groups, which is what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, so very, very excited about where that's going, but it is one of those things we want to take pause to do it correctly. So you'll be hearing a lot of Mark asking for, we need to have funding to do it the right way, so we can get there. But frankly, I don't think we're gonna have a massive obstacle on that, because everybody's trying to work with this and get this space going as well as it possibly can. So other items as they come up, and definitely at the work group level as well, if you come up with topics that you're like, I at least want to have this on the radar moving forward, just let us know. I'll present some of those in August, and again by October, anything that's going to have to become legislative language. But there is also just, hey, if it's a topic that you just want to make sure is being watched at the General Assembly, I got a second intern this year specifically, so we have some extra eyes of monitoring down there and stuff too, just so we have that watching and reporting factor. That's something that we can always add to the list. Even if we're like, we don't know where it's going, but we want to know where it ends up in the end. So, right. Well, the other thing on my list is a little bit more fun, at least for me. This is Indiana's selection to be part of the Best Youth Initiative. Our team just got back from DC, so very exciting time there. And that again, we were one of 5 states selected across the country to work with a group called the Forum for Youth Investment that created this initiative about building ecosystems at a statewide level to really take youth voices and bring them to the forefront. So we built a team that is, technically speaking, 3 youth with lived experience, 1 parent, and 3 agencies. Our actual network beyond what they paid for to travel to DC, we've got several other youth. They were actually the quickest to get on board and want to be a part of it, and about 5 other state agencies. So it's really great to see the energy around that. And they did select the specific issue of chronic absenteeism. So it was our launch meeting in DC, met with some of the other states that were doing that. They refused to tell me if I won, but I think Indiana won. Frankly, I think I was the only one that was even keeping close track of our score, and nobody else even reported their scores to me.
Under what rules, Mark?
Well, when there aren't rules, as a public servant, it's my job to make sure we have structure. So I created that for the sake of everybody. So, and we are out there with Colorado, Maine, Connecticut, and New York State. So fun to get to see what everybody else is doing, and also the things that we're ahead on that we didn't realize. We have some states that I could have sworn would already have a children's commission or a children's cabinet that don't, and are looking to us to be the model of how to do it right. National stakeholders that specifically selected us to say, we want you there so you can show these other states that have the resources to do it, how to do it right, because we like your model and we like what you're doing. So it's always good when we get that perspective going in. But really the biggest thing for that experience for us is our young adults that we brought along on that are all amazing. I was telling them, you know, in a few years, I'll vote for any of them for president because they had some tremendous feedback and tremendous experiences. And they were taking time out of their very busy lives. One was popping between Houston and going all over the country, flew across the country to come to DC to join us. One passed up another summer placement to be there with us. And one of our youth representatives on the Children's Commission said, sign me up, I'll be there no matter what I have to switch around. And didn't take college summer classes or anything this year to be there. So they are committed and they are fired up about working this issue. So very cool stuff. You'll be hearing a lot more as we dive into that. I did want to propose an action item related to that today. So as we have the Best Youth Initiative working on the chronic absenteeism piece, and as we have YJOC Diversion working on it, we have a status events group within the Children's Commission also working on that. In the spirit that there has been put on the list for the interim study committee on education, that same issue. I would like to propose that we have a joint letter going on behalf of the Children's Commission, YJOC, and the Best Youth Initiative, simply noting our presence in this space and that we'd like to be involved in those discussions as they move forward. So I would like to propose that as an action item for today.
Do I hear a second? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right.
All right. So I'll draft that in the coming weeks and you note it to our commission leadership as well first. But again, just making sure that we've got a place in those discussions because we never like when something happens that we're all working on and then it goes a different direction. So we want to make sure we're joining efforts appropriately there. So appreciate it.
All right. Any questions for Mark? All right. We have asked our friends at DCS to present a little bit about the program improvement plan. Did I get that right, Sarah?
You did.
Yes, and how that will, we expect, intersect with the work that we're doing here at YJOC. So Sarah, the floor is yours.
I'm, of way of introduction, Sarah Sailors, Chief Deputy Director for the Department of Child Services. We are, in the midst of getting our program improvement plan approved by the feds. And we have, collaborated with lots and lots of different people, but that work at the Department of Child Services falls under our Strategic Solution and Agency Transformation Division. And Harmony Guest is here to present to you guys. She is our Deputy Director over that division, and she has worked diligently and spent many, many hours writing this plan and getting us to a place where I think we can really take some strides as a state to do things differently and innovatively for kids and families. And so I'm going to pass it over to Harmony. She's really the brains behind all of this and making it all work, and she will explain it all to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, so I'm Harmony Gist. I've worked at DCS the last couple of decades now. And I'm trying to use the building blocks of all the divisions I've been in, from juvenile justice, staff development, and the majority of field, to bring it to what this plan needs to look like. Let's see if I, wait, where do I aim this? You, Leslie? Where Oh, it is working. Yes, it's just delayed. So I might, okay, there we go. So I gave you a quick visual here, just so you can see this is the process by which we're in. So the Child and Family Services Review happens about every 6 to 7 years. And this is just a timeline for you to see that we are right now just submitting our plan, which we did. And then once approved, the far right side of that screen is all the steps we go through to monitor the plan. So this is just a visual overview of where we're at in our timeline. So from there, what we have is a 2-year process we've been in of evaluating the state from something called a statewide assessment, which was a very large document. We collaborated with all stakeholders to determine what areas Indiana needs to improve and what areas are strengths. We used a lot of data and we had stakeholder interviews in various groups across the state. I think we added up somewhere around 400 voices have been included in this process for us to develop this plan and implement it. This is where we landed as far as our data. So this is behind the scenes where we're going to have to improve. So when you think about the strategies, I'll give you an overview about this is our federal data that they say here's where Indiana lands on all these different domains. As you are pretty familiar with, the DCS language is safety, permanency, and well-being. The systemic factors go beyond measuring some of the case pieces, and this is really the crossover with the system at a macro level between judicial entities, probation entities, DCS, service providers. This right here is where we were measured on all things systemic in the state. And as you can see, we need to improve, meaning we were not in substantial conformity in all areas except for our responsiveness to the community. Specifically, the staff and provider training, that actually crosses over to probation. So that is kind of where we've been collaborating. And the reason behind this is we're audited in order to receive 4E funding. So for the state of Indiana to continue to receive lots of money to support the families, we have to pay for those services. And as a lot of you know, when probation youth, it doesn't have to be just dual status. So probation youth, whether they're entering the door solely probation or solely chins or dual status, all youth that have comprehensive services are paid through the DCS system. So that is why we're all included in this plan. So the staff and provider training speaks specifically to anyone serving the family. So whether that's a probation officer, FCM, or service provider, they're all included in that bucket of information. In addition, our information system, as you know, we have two different information systems. So we've really got to work on how those information systems speak together and work together. And then lastly, I'll point out the services. Those are also evaluating how they're meeting our families' needs, and that means both JD and JC cases. Through the process, what we determined is we have 4 buckets of information that we needed to make plans around, meaning there's lots of information out there, and these were the themes that we narrowed down with all of the stakeholder interviews and all of the information we've gathered. So the one we'll focus on today for this group to really hone in on is our cross collaboration with courts. But as you can see, workforce development was one area, foster care recruitment and retention, which we do place occasionally probation youth in foster homes as well. And then the service availability and development. Mark, you were just talking about lived experience. We very much brought the list you see here to the table specifically to make sure that these voices were included, heard, and had value to the plan that we've developed. We do also have a youth advisory board, a parent advisory board, and a foster care or foster parent advisory board. And we made sure that they were included in all of our work groups as we approached the work. And then you can also see we had a legal judicial specialist. So that was our tie over to IOCS this year, as well as several other key voices from the judicial community and probation community as we approach this. This is also a list. I'm going to talk about a PIP task force, meaning we need a body of people to oversee all of this work that isn't just DCS. It really needs to be the entire state. So this list you see here is what we are going to mirror at minimum to be a part of that task force. So we had 6 goals in the PIP. I am going to save you a lot of time and headache because the document is about 85 pages. So we're going to focus in on goal 6 because this one is really what's important about our work, specifically with court services, the judicial community, and probation community in general. So this right here is just our goal statement. So we want to enhance partnerships across child welfare and judicial entities to reduce the systemic barriers for timely achievement of permanency. And as I mentioned a little bit ago, you saw safety, permanency, and well-being. The area that child welfare was scored lower on around permanency really had a lot to do with our timely hearings, quality of what's being sent to court from both probation and case managers, as well as a couple other caveats that we think we can do better in improving our timely permanency. I know that's hard to read, so I don't expect you to like hone in on that. I will kind of give you an overview. But from this goal, we developed 3 strategies and lots of activities under each strategy. And these strategies, as I mentioned, were developed in collaboration with the work groups and all of the people that you saw on the list previously. Just in general, the first goal is going to be around both DCS and IOCS engaging in activities to enhance our data quality. One thing we know is, again, we have 2 systems, 2 different data pieces, well, 2, probably 45, honestly. But where do you start? And so making sure that our data, your data, first of all, is data entry correct? Second of all, what are we seeing? We have exit data, we have enter data, we have everything in between. And so we need to really focus on activities that are we looking at the same thing? Are we apples to apples? And are we sharing that information regularly? And so there's lots of activities listed under this strategy to help us enhance what we see in data quality and how we use that. The second strategy is focused around those dual status cases. So we know that we did a lot of training years ago when we created the dual status partnerships, requirements, and statutes. And we had the dual involved, duly identified, and duly adjudicated. Some of the components of this particular strategy are going to focus around our cross-training, awareness. How are we really identifying when a juvenile enters, let's say, the probation side? Do they truly have access and understand if they've had a CHINS background and vice versa? We had a fairly decent system at one point where when we would create a report, there was a section you needed to check that, but is that always being done? And there's really no way to check if we're doing that. And this one is going to hone in a lot on some training opportunities and some awareness and education. In addition to those activities for the front line to do things a little bit differently. And then the last strategy is actually going to be I want to say more macro quality assurance. So a lot of different systems have their own quality assurance, whether that's compliance-based or truly innovative. What we identified though is we lack a quality assurance for the full system together. So it's going to speak a little bit to like that data piece. Okay, if we're all measuring different things, it works for a little while until it doesn't work. And then are you talking about it? So are we coming to the table to say, what do we each see? And then once we look at it, what are we actually doing with it? And when we implement these strategies, there's no cycle for improvement that exists beyond each individual siloed system. So the third strategy there is all about how we really create a way to check what we're doing. Is it improving, and pivot if not, or expand if it is. And if I talk too fast, just stop me, please. I've been living and breathing this for a couple of years now. So if we get too detailed or it doesn't make sense, please just let me know. So I mentioned the PIP task force. So again, if we're really going to organize ourselves as a state to improve, we need to, 1, remove the silos of the agencies, and then 2, put in an oversight committee that will help us not only track improvements, but make it known. It's one thing if we're doing it and we're checking it off and we're reviewing cases and our data is improving. But who knows about this, and how are we actually getting the good word out to maybe other counties who aren't engaged in some of the pilot information? So this PIP task force, once the PIP is approved, which we have submitted it to the feds, we're on our 3rd iteration though, so if we have another one, it'll be a little longer. And once they approve it, it's boots on the ground running for all the activities in this 80-page plan. meaning we start implementing the interventions and then we start tracking. So we're hoping a PIP task force, which we are working right now on memberships for that. It'll be a 2-year commitment. So the PIP, once it's implemented, we have 18 months to improve. And that means that we would like an oversight team on that for 2 years so that we can ensure that it's being done, that we're really looking at it, and that we're monitoring and sustaining what any ground we gain. And again, the membership should represent all the voices that went into the plan and at least everybody who could help make this successful so that it's not a DCS plan, a court services plan, a provider plan, but rather all of us together as a state. So the highlights of strategy 1, just where I think it may be of help for this group is that we do want to pilot in, I think 3 to 5 counties is about what we've said for most of these, is we want to pilot that we are requesting the permanency hearing at the initial hearing and getting that on the docket. What we've seen is the timeliness to permanency, when we dove into that and did some quality reviews of why, we're finding that no one's tracking. No one's remembering, hey, that needs to be 12 months after removal and every 12 months after that. So if we can get ahead of the game and start getting that set on the docket up front, then everyone knows it's coming up and you're not missing it. So that is a strategy that we are working collaboratively to choose where those counties are and the readiness of the court, the willingness and all of that that goes into any pilot. The second one would be just increased data entry tracking on both DCS and IOC, because we, again, just all need to do it, not just a little better, but work more collaboratively. And so we have lots of activities I didn't list, but that we're all going to do a little differently, including a new code on probation side, including a new report that we're creating on the DCS side specific to TPRs. As you know, we file and dismiss, and then what happens after that, they're also not tracked. So the highlights of strategy 1 that I think are important today for this group are these 2. The highlights for strategy 2. This again is our dual status crossover training. So there's lots of training components within this one. But specifically to start out, we're also going to update our interagency agreements. What we noticed is they were really powerful and great, but tracking and updating them. And then when you have turnover, whether that is your frontline probation or your chief probation or your judge or your DCS local office director, just with all the turnovers, no one's necessarily aware that those exist. And what is it that we're requiring to be exchanged? So we're working on that as a kind of a kickoff to all things collaboration. And then next is going to be that just increasing the knowledge base and awareness. So court services, which I will just give just amazing credit to Leslie and Colleen, who have been really vital in collaborating and helping us get the right strategies so we can cross the finish line here. And they had shared with us these activities you see on the second one here to collaborate on a training, both probation and DCS, to kind of, again, revamp, reestablish, kind of do that booster shot of what is dual status, what does that mean, what's best practice, and how do we share that information. And then an in-person training for the dual status youth as well. We do hope to have that cross-training piece, right? So when court services or probation are doing it, can DCS be there and vice versa? We definitely had some opportunities that we've identified for cross-training and collaborations. And then the highlights of strategy 3, this is that quality piece. So we are working to engage with a quality hearing study with the center or capacity building center for courts. And we've been working with them on a measurement tool for observations and review of hearings to give some very concrete feedback and some intervention options and learn the strengths of, again, some pilot counties for that. I believe Leslie's been working with Heather Keshtin, my predecessor, on who that could be. So that is something to be aware of, that we want to, again, choose pilot counties for that. It's good to note that when you do pilot counties for something like this, we don't want the pilot counties to be the same, because if you do 3 strategies in the same county, how do you know which one works? So ideally, we're going to have to kind of share the love, right? And get lots of counties involved and see if we can get them established and buy-in. And then the other one is just setting the tone. And what I mean by this is it's just always a good time every so often to establish expectations on both DCS in court services or local judicial entities of what is our ultimate goal and how can we get there. And so what we'd like to do, this used to happen informally, but it's never been a formal, please do this strategy, which is really talking on a local level about what's going on, right? So when I was a local director, I would speak with my judge every month, just touch base, not about cases, but big picture. How are we doing? What are the trends we see? What's the data show us? And that came very natural, it was very helpful. But I think what we found, and it's just no secret, is the workforce frontline, they're exhausted. We've had lots of turnover, not just DCS, but everywhere. I think we can blame a lot of things on COVID, but the reality is that we've just gone through a socially difficult time the last few years. And a lot of that was lost in translation, or maybe even because we're virtual more now. So we're really trying to reestablish those local discussions and expectation that those happen. We don't expect all 92 counties to say, yep, we're doing it right now tomorrow. So again, this will be piloted on some counties to see how effective it is. And of course, we hope to have your local directors, your local attorneys from DCS, your probation, whether that's chief probation or frontline, your judge, your CASA, really key people in moving the needle on improvement efforts. So once we do all of this, which it's an ongoing, right? So when I say this 80-page document with all these activities, we broke it up by quarters, right? We can't do everything at once, and it needs to be in cadence and in order. So once we start and we do the Q1 activities, Q2, and of course, this will all be tracked, and the PIP task force will be able to see all this in real time. It's kind of like, okay, so then what next? So we have a review process that we already have built, and we actually include probation youth because you're in the pool of required cases to review because everyone receives funding. So we have done this for quite a while. A lot of people are familiar with the term PMR, practice model review, and court services, Colleen, Leslie, and some others, they actually help us and participate in these reviews. And it does just that. It measures how are we doing. So we're going to continue that process, and we will, for the PIP sake, we will measure 56 cases every 2 months. So we call that a measurement period. For the PIP, we have to pass every item, which is 36, 3 times before they'll let us pass it. I know, I have the same face. It's gonna, our last PIP was 1 time. You just passed everything 1 time and you're good. Now, will I go, oh my gosh, it's gonna be harder? Yes. But in the spirit of continuous improvement, they probably should do that because we should sustain the gains that we want to make. So that is kind of the next step. We're already doing these reviews now, so we have a really good feel for our data right now. But once they approve the PIP, then our measurement period starts where we continuously monitor how we're doing. And of course, that information will be fed to the PIP task force to understand and see. So from there, we will continue to work and have these bi-monthly reviews and hit the benchmarks ideally at some point in those 18 months. So that is kind of a large overview of what this process looks like. We again did submit our 3rd iteration, which really was just focused on goal 6. They just wanted to see a little bit more concrete steps and things that were applicable to getting what I would say movement fast and not longer term. There's several things we're engaged with IOCS and the work groups you all have and putting DCS on those. We actually originally had that as an activity in our PIP, but what we realized is it's a little bit longer term goal. We also simultaneously have a 5-year plan due to the feds. And so that's actually where we thought that would fit most appropriately because it's a little bit longer term goal. So once we have feedback, we will either make more changes and resubmit, or we'll get ready and gear up and start our PIP process. I know it's a lot of information. Feel free to ask questions.
Questions for Harmony or Sarah? Leslie?
I just wanted to say you can't emphasize enough how much this is a state thing. This is not a DCS thing. Years ago, people would say, oh, this is a DCS review. This is DCS's problem. This is the 4th CFSR I participated in, and this is reviewing the state of Indiana. And when we talk to the federal people, they're not talking about DCS. They're talking about all of us. That, you know, they say, well, aren't your judges doing this? Aren't your probation officers doing this? You know, how's your system set up? So it's something that we all have to be involved in and work to improve, because it's not something DCS can do on their own. And it's also, you know, the reputation of our state. And the ability to get these funds is critical to the state of Indiana. I mean, it's millions and millions of dollars. And in fact, they're trying to get additional 4E funds for probation kids in some instances, and we're going to be working with them to try to help make that happen. It's really critical work, and it's all of us, to the extent we could help, should try to help. And the last thing I was going to say is, when I was in Marion County, I was with DCS, the chief legal counsel. Our then Judge Payne had these monthly meetings with us with probation. Me as chief counsel, head of probation, who else was it? The deputy manager people from DCS, the general, just a whole group of us, maybe 10 of us. And we met every month on systemic issues, and it was incredibly valuable and useful. And it is additional time, and sometimes I would dread going, but it was always useful and a good use of my time. So I know Henry County does that. They have something called JET, the Judicial Engagement Team, and that's been really successful there. But it is one of those, I know it's another meeting, but it's one of those that was always well worth my time.
And I appreciate that concept, because this will take us all, and DCS will be accountable, right, to make sure all this stuff happens, and we'll be the glue and we'll help do all that. But it does take us all, or we won't pass it.
I just wanted to say you have a lot to do, and I commend you, Harmony. But as we committees are focusing on different interventions and plans, how can we best support the work you guys are doing? Like for us, when we were talking diagnostic, we have also talked about what's the best way for probation to communicate with DCS. And we've been talking about how do we map out that process to improve those connections between agencies. So
that is
thoughts?
a great question. And I will say, I don't think the answer is just one fold. There's a lot of opportunity there. But what I do hope, you know, if I could, like, my vision would be that we have to engage in this improvement process so we can put structure to that. And what better way to leverage that than to start sharing the information with all these councils and groups? I've actually got a running list going on my whiteboard in my office. I thought, well, yeah, everyone needs the information. And so can't we create something? And you were talking, there's no organized way for lived experience in the state of Indiana, right? Because I was just thinking, it's like, yep, we have this pocket, you have this pocket, all these pockets, which is great, right? We don't want to stop that momentum, but how can we leverage what we have to do? And our resources have to be here to organize this. So why not use that and create, like, for the local meetings, we're talking about creating an agenda that already has all the information. Can we just circulate that so that when the PIP task force meets and we get updates about how we're doing and what we're doing, can they then produce a one-page document with a summary that then flows to every council and every group that we think is relevant, and vice versa? We need them to flow the information up, because we're only as good as that feedback that we're going to get. So if we can do that, I think it would be a good start.
Yeah, and just to add that, I do really appreciate that thought, Cirilla, because I think as Harmony said, workforce for all of us is like the capacity issue is real, right? And so we don't want to duplicate efforts, right? And then we don't want to work against each other, your efforts against these efforts. And so streamlining that, making sure that like if we're already doing something that's similar, is there something that next iteration that could be happening in your work group? So Harmony and I can discuss that a little more. To try to figure out how we might finesse that a little bit to make sure that communication is happening.
And I think a process map would be good, right? Like we can, like my whiteboard's only as good as it lands there, right? So my goal too is like, can we map a flow of information and contacts so that
So
people,
that was something.
because
we
if
had
I
been
leave or
talking
you
about.
leave, who knows what to do next,
Yeah.
right?
It always goes back to technology.
Yeah.
It'd be fabulous if we had like a shared system where we can communicate with each other.
Dr. Osmond?
Thanks, Harmony. Great discussion. So in terms of resources, when we think about data, we have a data work group here. We're going to be doing data validation, very similar on the JJ side. So I think we should definitely make sure that our methodologies
Yes.
are similar, because you have data entry areas, but then you have data logical inconsistencies and it's data pulls. And we're going to be doing that work with lots of counties. So it'd be good to know, are we looking at similar counties?
Yes.
That would be helpful. And then the methodology that you're using, we should definitely compare notes.
And I think we have one of our data people on there, but we also talked about adding, so sometimes, the knowledge of how and what we do is great, but then having, someone from more expertise of what we need though, versus just what we have and how we do it. But then we wanted to add maybe someone to the table to that work group to say, okay, but here's what we actually need that we don't have so that we can work. And that was one of those strategies we're putting on our 5-year plan to kind of work with you all on that exactly.
Awesome.
But I'd love to hear more about that. I think you're right. We need to go into it with the right mindset before you get halfway down and then realize we need to pivot.
Yeah.
Just to add to that data conversation, I think what would also be helpful is there are times where you might need to measure it differently, right? For whatever purposes, but somewhere memorializing how it's different and why it's different, because I feel like that's where, when the General Assembly is asking questions about, well, your time to permanency says this, but the courts say this.
Yeah.
And like having useful and helpful information to understand why they might look different to them and being able to explain that would be really helpful for me.
Yep.
Nancy?
So I probably have 1,000 questions, but I'm gonna limit them. One thing, I think I have in terms of the PIP task force, will there be subgroups? Like, will there be a group working specifically on goal 6, or is it an overall task force?
Overall task force. So the
Okay.
task force itself will oversee the entire PIP. So I honed in on goal 6 for this. However, in all reality, goal 1 through 6 flow together and there's Q1 activities all across the goals.
Okay.
So it's not linear, goal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sure.
It's all these goals and activities, and then we organize it by quarter.
Okay.
So it would probably do a disservice to make subgroups of the PIP task force. But what we do have, that we're gonna bring external partners to as well, is I have to have, an internal team doing the work, right? So who's doing what? And so I have a continuous improvement team that's going to oversee each activity implementation, and which are lots. And that's where we'll have kind of subgroups, if you will. Like, for example, one of the strategies I just talked to you about our activity, that's going to need a specific group of people overseeing the implementation and monitoring, is it working, and how the logistics. So there's lots of subgroups that are going to exist for the actual implementation, and then feed that information to the PIP task force. But the PIP task force we see as one large group overseeing the entire PIP. Because I should add this, not to confuse anyone, but there are crossover with court services probation all through it, but there are much smaller components, so I didn't want to overload you today. So I think it'll be beneficial overall.
Thank you. My other, maybe the question, more comment than question is, I think this is going to sound very elementary, But I think that as a starting place, it would be fantastic when you're talking about the training for staff, which includes probation, would be to make sure there's an understanding of permanency. I think that if you asked a lot of line staff in probation, they would say that permanency is when a young person comes back home and not when it's case closure, right? And so just understanding that permanency really means case closure. We're done. We are no longer, I think that's the definition. Is that?
Permanency
Yes.
is,
I mean-
achieving case closure
Yes.
permanency, and that can look like several different things.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what I hear is you want to be on the group for the training, right?
I just, fundamentally, I
No,
think.
I 100% agree. And actually in DCS terms, we've been just calling it back to the basics.
Yeah.
Let's make
yeah.
sure we understand the foundational pieces here before we start talking deeper language. So
Yes.
I would agree.
Okay, thank you. And then one other thing, sorry. Are you laughing? One other thing in terms of what Dr. Alsma said about the data. I understand that y'all are on, or we, excuse me, are on a 2-year time frame. As a member of the data work group, we've been talking about how complicated this really is on the JD side.
Yeah.
JDJS, JM, and that we are looking more like a 5-year-ish plan.
Yep.
So thinking about how we can make sure that we are helpful in your priorities, but understanding that this is probably not, I don't want to say not going to be accomplished in 2 years, but
No,
it's-
we agree. So actually, the activities we included in this were specific to short-term feasible ones, which is why we moved that entire process and goal to our CFSP, which is our 5-year plan. So we matched your goals with that. And in fact, we had it here. And one thing we realized is like, we actually won't have what we need or accomplish. So we're setting ourselves up for failure. So that specific strategy, we didn't include in here and put in our 5-year plan because of that.
I misunderstood. I thought that was something.
No. But we still draw on, I think, the collaborations, right? The fact that DCS is sitting on your work groups and can we speak the same language? I think that's going to set us up for long-term success, but we didn't outline that one because we agree, I think we wouldn't be able to accomplish it, or it would get messy and rushed.
Other questions? And the PowerPoint was sent by email this morning, so you all have that in your email for future reference. And Joel, would you like to highlight your dual status training that's coming up?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, so we've actually opened up some additional space by changing our room. I guess we're going to combine A and B. But John Toole from the Robert F. Kennedy National Resource Center on Juvenile Justice, I think that's what it is. He's going to come. He has collaborated with another individual and created an article and a program series on achieving the possible for dual status children. A lot of it is focused on creating metrics to be able to measure what's going on in dual status cases and trying to figure out whether or not we're actually achieving what we're setting out to achieve with dual status cases. So, Indiana did a great job in paving the way to create the opportunity to work in a unique manner with dual status children, but I don't think we're really trying to capture metrics as to whether or not that change in procedure is being successful. So he's going to be our keynote speaker. We're going to have a panel discussion with key players from DCS and probation, and prosecutors going to be on there. And so a good collaborative discussion on how dual status is working throughout the state, and just a good check-in and seeing on that. I'm still working on breakout sessions for the afternoon. We have one breakout session focused on CASA, guardian ad litems, and attorneys representing kids directly. And I think the other breakout is going to be public safety, more focused with judicial officers, prosecutors, and probation officers. So it is on September 27th. The invitation to sign up has been shared by the Office of Court Services, thanks to Colleen Saylor. And so there's an Eventbrite out there. So please share.
So you may not know this, we included that on our PIP.
Okay.
So we get to check that off very easily. It was low hanging fruit, but Colleen shared that with us and it met our need. And so you're actually in there.
You are welcome. So in full disclosure, I wanted John to just come talk to juvenile public defenders initially, and he said, no, we can't do this just by focusing on your people because the core
Defeats the
concept of dual
purpose.
status is the
Mhm.
collaborative effort. So,
Well, I'm glad he said that.
yeah.
Has everyone in this group received that information by email? If you have not and would like it, let me know and we'll send it out to you.
I'm not sure how much more room we have, but I do know that we expanded the opportunity, so
Excellent.
there was more room created.
Great. Any other questions for Harmony or Sarah? Thank you, Harmony.
Mhm.
All right, we'll move into our work group updates, starting with grants. So Nancy, will that be you today?
I'm happy to, we sent a report and I'm happy to answer any questions. The report was prepared by the chairs, Jane Palin and Judge Shine. And I do. Renee's still here. Yes. So I don't really have anything else to update besides what is in the report. But Renee is here from ICJI. I'm sure she could answer questions if anybody has them about the.
And just to introduce you as well, Natalie Huffman is here as well. She's general counsel for CJI. So she's joined us today as a substitute to our substitute, I think, right? Yeah. I would just throw out two action items or work for the work group. And first would be the legislative language. So that tweak, let's get that language ready to go for when our legislators are asking for that. And secondly, our funding formula, because as our grant application numbers either decrease or do not rise as we would like them to, we're going to have to open up that pot of money for other applications. So thinking about how we tweak the funding formula for each of those categories to make sure that we're using the money and not leaving it on the table.
Those will both be on the agenda for our meeting on August 20th.
Excellent. Any questions or feedback regarding grants? All right, next up, the data. That be you, Dr. Alsman.
Yeah, thanks so much for giving us some time. Appreciate it. So our work group notes are in the email, a PDF attached. We had a great meeting. We had taken kind of a hiatus, but we're back to doing some good work with our co-chair, Chris. Thanks for doing that work, Chris. So one of the first things to note in that paragraph, the first one really highlights the work of IOCT on juvenile reports. So there's a lot of work going into that in terms of preliminary inquiry, predispositional, modification, and including some of the tools like the detention and diversion tool. So really looking at how those tools are used in the creation of this cover sheet. So there's lots of implications with multiple groups. So just make sure that that's on your radar with screening and everyone else. So lots of work on that end. And then we're moving forward with this 20 county pilot. So Chris had the great idea of sending out kind of a call for requests with this weekly newsletter. I didn't think it would work, frankly, but it did. So good job, Chris. So I'm going to do whatever Chris says. We had over 20 counties express interest in being part of this pilot to look at their data, which is fantastic. So it's a mix of counties, rural, urban, suburban. It's a mix in terms of SRS and Quest. So it's really what we want. So we're going to start going forward with that data validation piece. So it's looking at missing data. It's looking at inconsistencies with the data. When you have a case that's stated as diversion and sent to DOC, that doesn't quite measure up. And we have those often, Judge Foley. So, I mean, I think it's really looking at where is that missingness and the inconsistency coming from. Then there's going to be a smaller pilot where we actually work through that data to see how much of this is at county level, how much of this is at training, how much of this is on the tech level. So again, the more that we can collaborate with people like Harmony and doing the inconsistency, the methodology, I think the more that we can win with that. So lots of work coming up, and yeah, Good meeting. Any other updates, Chris? Anything that I've missed?
I don't think so.
Good. Any questions for Data? Okay, thanks so much.
I would like to say bravo to our trial judges who all stepped up, more than
Yeah.
20 volunteers. Fantastic, in a very short window as well. So, and I know we have at least one at the table, two and three at the table today. So good news. All right, next up is screening and assessment.
So we met on July 26th. And we received the update on the key reminder document and the distribution methods. We'd sent out a letter that was signed by Judge Dowling and Magistrate Dowling and Judge.
Judge Dana, it's good.
Judge Dana. But it went out to all chief probation officers and judges. We have been working on recommendation 5 with the Office of Court Technology to update that standard preliminary inquiry report form so that it has, and they've met twice since adding 2 probation officers from POAB to the work group to aid in building the requirements. And that next subgroup is meeting on August 8th to continue their work on that. In addition to that, we've been staying informed on that work, and the IOCS staff is also keeping the following committees informed and seeking input from POAB, the Judicial Conference Juvenile Bench Book Committee, Judicial Conference Probation Committee, and the Judicial Juvenile Justice Improvement Committee. So we are getting input from all of those people, all those groups, and adding that in as well. So after we receive approval from all of the groups, once we send everything over, the final approval will be sought from the Judicial Conference Board of Directors in December with a requested effective date of July 1st of 2025. So that will allow Indiana Office of Court Technology to complete the technology developments, test the updates, work on required interfaces with Quest, because we have Quest counties too that we need to pull all of that data from, and then training opportunities at the Spring Justice Service Conference and Juvenile and Family Court Judges Conference if requested ahead of that implementation. We plan on meeting again on Friday, September 13th at 1:30. So we have a quick turnaround of, we're going to have everybody with us. We've stressed that for September and our November meetings to get everything ready for December approval.
That's a heavy task list you have there.
Sorry.
Doing good work. No, that's great. Questions, comments? All right, great work. Next up, behavioral health.
Yes, we met on July 16th. We had the opportunity to meet Brittany Kelly, Office of Behavioral Health, was introduced by Judge Stephanie Campbell, Judicial Chair of the Behavioral Health Committee, which was nice for her to learn about what we do. And as she's trying to figure out her role, is kind of where she fit in. So that was nice to have her present. I know initially we said we wouldn't have task subgroups, but we decided to divvy up our big group into 2. One is our diagnostic evaluation and the other is for our bench card. I kind of self-appointed Dr. Dwanger, DLC, to be the chair of diagnostic, and referee Gowdy to be the lead on the bench card. And so the work for each of those groups is the diagnostic would review the DYS diagnostic evaluation and identify duplication of information. We found that a lot of the information in the report from the probation and then what gets included in the diagnostic was repetitive. To also develop a list of assessments and evaluations of recommended ones and to identify what level professional can do those. Whether it's a psychologist or a master level, to give people some options. Review the DCS assessment standards. So we're aligned with those. We also talked about where would be the most appropriate location for the assessments, including telehealth. And also look at as we looked at the bench card and the evaluation, is the gathering of information and where do you get those pieces and who already has them? Does DCS already has information? Should we be contacting them? So it was a really good opportunity for us to kind of look at and map what those options were. Thanks to Judge Foley, she offered her psychologist. I told him he was a unicorn. And I introduced him to Dr. Dwangers to get some ideas. He has some really creative ways of getting psychologists hooked in to be able to do some of those assessments that we hadn't thought about. The bench card subgroup was tasked to develop a guidance document for ordering a diagnostic evaluation on youth. The purpose of the bench card will be multi-purpose, as this is judicial officers, public defenders, and probation officers in understanding when to seek a diagnostic evaluation. So part of the process will be when we have the drafts, disseminate those out for feedback to the appropriate stakeholders. The draft bench card has been placed on the agenda for the JJIC meeting for review. I don't know what that stands for, Judge, but.
I don't think they've met yet, have they, Leslie?
No, they meet tomorrow. It's Juvenile Justice Improvement Committee.
That one. And also, I gave an update in JDAI meeting, and Vicki Davis also asked, could she review that as they're looking at orientation package for new judges. She thought that would be something good for them to have and train on in the beginning. Let's see. As I mentioned earlier, we're also looking at how can we map out communication pathways between systems. And hopefully we can complete these deliverables. My goal is by December.
Judge Dolahanty, anything to add?
It's been a slog to get through the bench card process. That's why we broke off to assigned it to a subgroup in Innegality from Lawrence County. Raised her hand first. So, and she's done a nice job with it. The one thing to add to Cirilla's comments about the purpose of that bench card is not just to help decide when to do a diagnostic, but when to decide not to do a diagnostic evaluation. We've had a lot of discussion about the fact that we maybe, I could probably take out the qualifier, maybe, that we are frequently guilty of over assessing. And if we were doing a better job of talking across systems between probation and DCS in particular, that we would realize this kid just had a test, right? We don't need to do it over again, right? So let's just move on with the information we have. But there's some real slip between the lip and the cup on that information flow. Yeah. Other than that, Cirilla, great summary. Thank you.
Questions for Cirilla or Judge Dolahanty? This group has great momentum and I think really lofty goals, and I'm excited to see the outcomes. And Sarah, you mentioned turnover. I think Harmony talked about turnover. Judges have turned over about a third in recent years, so across the state. So there's a big need for training and a big need for those communication teams at the local levels. So I think great ideas around the table today for that. All right, next up, diversion.
Okay, we last met on July, thank you. Thanks, Nancy. We last met on July 24th. And once again, I have to give all the credit to my great co-chair, Megan Horton, because I was having technical difficulties and she ran this meeting But we are still working on our diversions program directory, which is our main focus now. And it is a big lift to try and figure out not only what all the programs are out there, but what's good, what do we want to highlight, and even what systems can we connect people to if it's not a specific program, but maybe a system that's in their area regionally that might assist them in getting that together. So we have our subgroup working on that. And at the meeting, Leslie let us know that IOCT is working on a searchable directory for her to live on the court's website. And
Until I told them that maybe they could work with you.
yeah, now maybe they're working with us, which is great because we did connect with them. And Megan's going to follow up so that there's a good chance that we're going to have a searchable directory for counties. And this is going to be great for everyone. I still get lots of calls from prosecutors and others looking for diversion. Who do I talk to if I want a truancy diversion? You know, like, so this will be a great way for everyone to connect with each other. So we're still doing a lot of work on that. And we're going to still work on just having the, you know, regular at this point list until we can figure out how it's going to be living somewhere else. But we want to have it going. We're not setting ourselves up for failure. So we're not telling you when it's going to be ready, but we really would like to have it done and, you know, before the end of the year or maybe into the new year, but working on it. In the meantime, at that meeting, Bart Doan from the Department of Workforce Development spoke to our group and presented about programming and services available to youth through their youth initiatives, which was actually surprisingly a lot of great stuff, helping kids with getting jobs or getting connected to schooling that helps you get a job. So, and they work regionally. So they're out there everywhere in the state. So that's another thing that we're looking at those type of things to put on our directory. At our next meeting, representatives from Tippecanoe County will be attending in September. Judge Graham talked about some great things happening in diversion in Tippecanoe County. And we are looking for other groups and organizations such as that to keep coming to talk to us, because bringing it to us makes it easier than having to go send lists, like, please answer these questions. So if you know of anyone, please talk to, and Nancy will have some ideas, talk to Megan or I so we can get that scheduled. And our next meeting is in September. That's what's going on. Anyone's got any questions?
All right, thank you, Tracy. Finally, Transitional Services Work Group.
Thank you. I assume you, okay.
Have at it. I'll add as necessary.
Okay. You saw our report as well. We had our last meeting, July 11th. We have another meeting this afternoon. It was like we caught, I don't know if everybody was tired from the heat this summer, but our group was robust at this July meeting. So it was fabulous conversation. We have 3 different work groups that are working. One of them, which was the service standards group, is kind of done. I can't say enough to David Reed and Don for educating us on that process, truly. So I want to say thank you. And they're still sending me information. So it's been very, very, very helpful. We're excited today should be the results from the judges conference surveys that we asked for. So we should get that information today as well. And then we're having a presentation today on the IAS so that we all have a better understanding of that piece. Anything else?
Just since our last YJOC meeting, Terry and I did do a presentation to the juvenile judges regarding the services available at the Department of Corrections, and we kind of blackmailed them into participating in our survey by promising them that we would let them out of our session early if we got a good number of participants, and it worked.
Then we lied.
So, we got them out months early.
We did.
And we got a standing O from some folks on them, so it was good. So yeah, I think we're working and we're gonna get some good information today, I think.
It was a great session, and I think judges are kind of starving for information in this particular area. So I think they were very grateful to have the two of you at the helm for that project. So thank you for your work on the committee as well as at the conference. Any questions? All right, I've got a few items for wrap up, and then we will have our open forum. So I'll go around the table and ask each of you from your particular areas if there's anything you would like to share with the group, initiatives, things going on, ideas you think this group should think about. So I will go, and then I will start down there with Shannon. That's all
I
right.
do not have anything at all. Besides the fact that traffic is horrendous and it shouldn't take me an hour and a half to get.
Oh, goodness. Goodness. I wanted to share a few things. First of all, we have invited Bart Doan to our October full YJOC meeting because we got such rave reviews from the presentation he gave in the work group. So we are asking him to come talk about workforce development options for youth at our full meeting. You will see an email that went around this morning. It's an announcement regarding a virtual seminar on the relationships between youth and law enforcement put on by the National District Attorneys Association. I went to several of their sessions or conferences in 2 lifetimes ago, and they're typically just really excellent. So if any of you are interested in programming that would build relationships or foster relationships between youth and law enforcement in your communities, that may be of interest to you. It's August 5th and 6th. We will be sending out 2025 meeting dates so that you can all get those on your calendar shortly. So Leslie and I will be working on getting those out to you within the next week or so. And now we'll go back to Stephen. Anything you want to add today?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Right. Kia, anything you'd like to add?
Yes. 2 things. We are opening up our Power and Promise Youth Fellowship Program. It is a 9-month leadership training for young people ages 14 to 24. They can get paid up to $350 a month, and they are plugged into many different opportunities working with us, committees, conferences, and those kind of things. So I'll make sure that I send out information about that. And this Saturday, we have our grand opening for our new building. We are in an old IPS school on the east side of Indianapolis. And so we will be having our grand opening from 11 to 3 this Saturday. So I will also send that flyer up. Congratulations.
Yeah, I don't know how many more hands you'll need to take on all of these things.
Life choices. Life choices.
Where there's a will, there's a way, right? Well, good for you. Miss Sarah?
I think our high acuity youth, work that's going on, that Terry, Cirilla, like we're all engaged in, it's all hands on deck, is still, going really well. Lots of things happening there. So, keep a lookout for that. If you have youth who you feel like need, higher eyes on or need to staff in different ways, you can send your youth names to any of the 3 of us and we will make that happen. We have an RFP out now currently for intensive foster care, which is to target our harder to place youth, right? And really it's about supporting those youth in that foster home. So it's a service that goes into the foster home, wraps around that foster home, that youth, and it can be kinship care, it can be, right, like JV in a foster home or in kinship placement, CHIMS, either way. So that RFP is in that scoring process right now, and we're hoping to have that up and running by November.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Nancy?
We are jumping on the DWD bus a little bit. We periodically at the JDAI State Steering Committee meetings, we have had Department of Workforce Development come and talk to our group about availability of programs, and we haven't done that for several years. So at our meeting a week from tomorrow, Bart and his supervisor boss, Brianna Morse, will be there to share information with the counties that are involved in JDI about new and also older programs that a lot of folks don't know about for the youth involved, particularly in the justice system.
Great. Tracy?
I've got nothing.
Dr. Alsma?
We are continuing to expand brief intervention in primary care for youth with behavioral health problems, 7 to 17, with a grant from DMHA. Thank you so much, and the Riley Children's Foundation. So we're in 8 clinics now in IU Health, 1 in Hartford City. It's one of our busy sites. We're expanding to another 8, eventually 23. So it's good work. So if you have questions about that or where that might be located, give me a holler. And then Amber Becker with DMHA just received a grant focused on youth being trafficked in the JJ system. So Judge Dowling is a part of that. She's the trainer for the state. And we really want more trainers in that area. So that's one goal of that initiative. Another is really to understand the landscape of treatment. So Dr. Crum at Riley, she runs the trauma clinic. She's going to be really looking at trauma services across the state and how we can help improve pathways to care for youth that have been trafficked. It's not just residential programs. There can be great outpatient programs that work for young people as well. So more information to come, and just thinking about other initiatives in that area. Thanks.
Mark?
Right, just Children's Commission, our next meeting, August 21st, right in this room. So if you want to just camp out for a while and avoid the Gen Con traffic for a few weeks, that's an option. Otherwise, we hope to see you there. Also, follow up on the Best Youth Initiative. They just scheduled for September 23, 24, and 25. They'll be coming in town to do some site visit work with us, but also be wanting to talk to key informants in the space of chronic absenteeism. So if you have some contacts that you think they should meet while they're in town, send those my way and we'll make sure we get that lined up.
Thank you, Mark. Leslie? Okay, Cirilla?
Just that DMHA, we're working with the University of Connecticut for TA, and they're helping us develop care pathways to each of our systems and mapping. So hopefully I can get them to do a presentation for our committee.
Great. Terry?
I don't have anything.
I feel like I already shared, but if you know anyone who tried to sign up for the dual status training and it was full, let them know that there's more space, hopefully right now.
Great.
I don't have anything to add.
I represent no one, so I don't have anything.
All right, I got 2 things.
Great.
One is that IHCDA just received a $1.5 million award to work on youth homelessness. It's a systems improvement specific grant. So there are not funds for clients. It's all about systems improvement. A few of the things that we're doing, this is in partnership with MCH, the City of South Bend, the City of Indianapolis, and CHIP. We're doing a lot of state collaboration work. So if anybody is specifically interested in that space, let me know. And then there's a big section on youth voice. We actually got some funding specifically to bring in trainers for anyone who has a youth voice component so that we can do training across all the different systems that have youth voice. So let's talk. We're going to do a symposium around all the different systems that touch youth homelessness. And then we're doing a statewide data assessment of existing data. So that should be coming up. It's a 2-year grant. It should start in the next month-ish. And then my second item is there is an RFP going out in the next couple of weeks from IHCDA looking for potentially new local agencies to help disperse rapid rehousing money for families who have youth in them to help keep them together. And to house them. They are going to have to go through coordinated entry, which is the current homeless services process. But we're looking for some potentially innovative new folks to help provide those services at the local level.
It's a lot of good stuff there. Nancy, question.
The first item around youth homelessness.
Yes.
Is that focused on families that have youth that are homeless, or like youth aging out who might be on their own?
It's up to age 24.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, Judge Graham? Leslie?
It was announced yesterday that OJA hired a new executive director of the Indiana Office of Court Services. Her name is Catherine Pulley. And she comes from, to us from the Bar Association. And I don't remember her official title. I think it was like an outreach director, but she helped start the Leadership Academy there. And has an extensive military history, high level military, very respected military history. And I can't list all the things, but there was an announcement in the Wednesday Weekly yesterday about it, and she begins in September.
Anything else for the good of the group? I believe our lunches are here.
Yes, they're.
Excellent. So if you ordered a lunch, grab it, come, let's break bread together. And otherwise you have an added 28 minutes to get through Gen Con traffic. So enjoy that.
Although I did lay them.
Oh,